Feeling the pain of grief is really uncomfortable and sometimes even scary. No one wants to feel pain, but music can help us move through this pain in a safe and cathartic way. Today I'm going to share with you a music therapy activity for coping with grief and loss, so stay tuned. Hey guys, I'm Leela from Uku-Lela Therapy. I'm a board-certified music therapist and licensed mental health counselor, and I use music and expressive arts in fun, creative, and research-based ways to help with things like mental health issues, wellness, and self-development. So an important part of coping with grief is coming to terms with the loss, coming to a sense of acknowledgement and acceptance that the loss has even happened. Oftentimes we avoid negative and painful experiences. Obviously, why would we want to feel something that's painful? So if we lose our mom, for example, and Mother's Day is coming up, we might want to avoid either talking about mom or acknowledging her because we don't want to feel that pain, or we may go the complete opposite way where we are thinking about mom all day. We become depressed to the point where we're not able to engage in other activities or even engage in the holiday with our kids and our loved ones around us. So both ways are normal ways of coping with loss. I don't want to say that this is not how you should be coping with the loss, but I am saying that there are ways to come to a balance between totally avoiding and going really deep into it. Avoidance may feel better in the moment because it protects us from uncomfortable feelings, but at the same time it doesn't allow us to process and come to terms with the loss. Today we're going to talk about a way to balance this big feeling of grief while still honoring someone who has passed. And grief is different for everybody, and one person may be ready to process grief in one way and another person may not be ready to do that. So I really encourage you to listen to your body and emotions and what you need, and also highly recommend working with a professional on this topic as they can help you recognize those things in yourself and notice what you do need in the process. So like I said, one wonderful way of processing and working with grief is through music. I say this all the time, but things like music and art can provide a safe space for us to express and experience more difficult emotions. They get behind your defenses and they can add a sense of catharsis to your experience rather than just feeling like you're sitting in a negative emotion. So with that being said, let's get into our music therapy activity. So first, I've created a playlist of songs that address grief and loss, and I've also created a free handout that goes along with this activity. Both of those things you can find a link to in my description. So the first thing you'll do is choose 2 to 3 songs that you might relate to or that represent grief and loss. And if you're a music therapist, you can either sing these songs or you can play them over a speaker. As you're listening to the song, you'll be filling out these process questions on the handout, and these address things like memories or emotions that come up during the music. It's really important to reflect and process the experience. So if you're the music therapist, you can ask the participant or participants what kind of things came up for them, what stood out to them, and maybe prompt them to share any memories that came up. Sharing and processing these things is a really great way of coming to terms with the loss. And if you're a music therapist, you can end this activity by encouraging the participant or participants to set aside some time every week to kind of be sad and think about this loss and to process it and listen to some songs and do this activity on their own. And I think before doing this activity, it's also important to practice some grounding and mindfulness techniques if you feel like you're getting too pulled into the emotion and it's hard to come out of it. You still want to be able to be present and ground yourself. So as humans, we are not made to be in one emotional state forever. It's unsustainable. And this is why grief can come and go in waves, and people say they have good days and bad days. And this is just one way of feeling like you have a little more autonomy in your grieving process. You're choosing to sit down and experience this wave in a way that is safe and cathartic. So if you're a music therapist, I've linked in the description the whole session plan and handout together if you're interested in downloading that. And before we go, I want to end with these very important points. Grief is a process. It might always be there, but we can find ways to manage and build around this grief. And also, grief is different for everybody. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. I cannot emphasize that enough. Everyone grieves in different ways. The question is it working for you? And then I'll leave you with this quote that I love about grief. Grief, I've learned, is really just love. It's all the love you want to give but cannot. All that unspent love gathers up in the corners of your eyes, the lump in your throat, and in that hollow part of your chest. Grief is just love with no place to go. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy content like this, please like and subscribe. I post videos on music therapy, mental health, counseling stuff every Friday. So subscribe if you're interested, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.